Here we have a new compact mid-range phone, the Moto Edge 50 Neo. This is one of the few phones that's actually smaller than its predecessor, so what else has changed? I'm Will for GSM Arena, and let's see what the Motorola Edge 50 Neo is all about in our full review. The Neo models have traditionally been the budget option of the Moto Edge series, but the newest model brings something else to the table as well. It's not only the cheapest Moto Edge phone of the year, but the smallest, being built around a 6.4-inch display. It's light too, at 171 grams, and the vegan leather backing lends it some style points and some nice grip. The phone has a plastic frame, and this Pantone-approved orange colorway is quite snazzy. Compact mid-rangers are few and far between, so that in itself could attract some buyers to the Edge 50 Neo. And not only that, Moto has gone above and beyond when it comes to ingress protection. Not only is this phone IP68 rated against water and dust, but it has military-grade protection against extreme temperatures and conditions. Like I mentioned, the display has gotten smaller, from 6.55 inches to 6.4, and that's not the only difference from last year. This OLED has a high resolution, and while the max refresh rate is lower, at 120 Hz, it uses LTPO tech. That means it's able to dial down from 120 Hz to 1 Hz when idling to save energy. And actually, going from 144 Hz maximum to 120 isn't that big of a deal. Swiping and scrolling are still quite smooth. The max brightness has also gotten a boost. We measured up to around 570 nits with the manual slider, and this could boost to over 1400 nits in auto mode, great for use out in the sun. With a pixel density of 474 ppi, this screen is quite sharp, and there's support for HDR10 Plus video and 10-bit color here too. Still, this display may not be ideal for someone looking for a larger screen space. For audio, the Edge 50 Neo comes with a stereo speaker setup with very good loudness. The sound is good overall, though the bass is a bit weak.
I'm wide awake, but you're a nightmare.
To wake up and unlock the phone, there's an under-display fingerprint reader. It's quick and responsive. And the Edge 50 Neo comes with 256 or 512 gigs of storage, which is plenty, even if that's not expandable through microSD. What it also doesn't have in some regions is a slot for a second SIM card, but at least it has eSIM support. Just like the rest of the Edge 50 family, the Neo comes with Moto's new Hello UI interface running on top of Android 14. Like what we've seen from Moto before, it provides a near-stock Android experience with some extra Motorola features sprinkled on top. These you'll find within the Moto app, and they're organized into categories, like personalizations, gestures, and security options. There's also support here for Moto's Smart Connect, which used to be called Ready 4. It allows you to connect the phone to a TV or monitor via cable or wireless. Moto is actually changing its policy for software support, and the Edge 50 Neo reaps the benefits. It'll get longer software support than previous Moto phones, including the more expensive Edge 50 models. Moto promises 5 OS updates and 5 years of security patches for the Edge 50 Neo, and it says that these updates will be more timely than they've been in the past. And now we have the chipset. It's a MediaTek Dimensity 7300, which is an upgrade over the Dimensity 7030 of the Edge 40 Neo, but it's still mid-tier silicon. In benchmarks, the Edge 50 Neo is clearly better across the board than its predecessor, but these days there are mid-range competitors which are more powerful. The overall user experience is smooth, and you can do some gaming too. However, we did run into some lag within the camera app, for whatever reason. At least this chipset's sustained performance is very good, with the phone displaying very little throttling during our prolonged stress tests. With its smaller size, the Edge 50 Neo also has a smaller battery than its predecessor. It went from 5,000 mAh to 4,310. Even so, this phone more than makes up for it with efficiency, and the battery life here is much better than that of last year. The Edge 50 Neo earned a respectable active use score of 13 hours and 29 minutes in our tests. Unlike last year, there's no charger included in the box, but with a 68-watt power delivery charger, the phone is quite quick, and we're able to charge it from 0 to 80% in half an hour, and a full charge took 40 minutes. There's also support for wireless charging here too, unlike the Edge 40 Neo. It's rated at 15 watts. Just like last year, the Edge 50 Neo has a 50 megapixel main cam and a 13 megapixel autofocusing ultrawide, but now there's also a 10 megapixel 3x telephoto cam as well. During the day, the main camera delivers sharp and detailed photos with vibrant colors, and the dynamic range is more than adequate. The image processing was not very consistent though, and sometimes produced over-contrasty images with deep shadows and a gritty look. And other times, when taking several photos in succession, some of them didn't have the same HDR enhancements. In low light conditions, the camera triggers the night mode automatically. Shots from the main cam have good sharpness and detail and minimal noise. The dynamic range is wide, with well-balanced highlights and shadows. However, we have to mention that the focus is unreliable at night with all of the cameras. Plenty of shots we took were out of focus. On to the 3x telephoto camera. It takes photos with a similar rendition to the main cams, and in good lighting they come out sharp. However, when indoors or in shadows, the photos come out softer with more noise. At night, with the auto night mode kicking in, the zoomed photos look okay for this sort of camera, but there's notably less detail than the main cam. The ultrawide camera does a decent job during the day with an okay amount of detail. The quality is similar to what you'd get from the ultrawide cameras of competitors. Since this camera has autofocus, it can take close-up macro shots, and the results are pretty good. The nighttime ultrawide photos are okay. They're soft, and highlights can often be clipped, but all in all, they look nice on the phone screen. Selfies from the 32 megapixel front-facing camera look nice for the most part. They're lively, with good exposure and wide dynamic range, and there's plenty of detail too. However, skin tones can come out a bit reddish depending on the amount of HDR the camera needs to apply. The Edge 50 Neo can record 4K video with all of its cameras, and the quality from the main camera is pretty decent, with good sharpness, detail, and dynamic range. The quality of the telephoto cam's footage is also good overall. The footage from the ultrawide camera is decent in terms of sharpness, contrast, and dynamic range. Other than the sky, which looks a bit unnatural, the colors are good as well. And the low light footage taken with the main camera is good in terms of contrast and colors, but the sharpness and the dynamic range are just okay. So there you have it guys, Motorola has taken the Neo in a different direction this year. It's a shorter device with much better protection. There's a nicer LTPO display, you get wireless charging and great battery life, and there's a telephoto cam this time around. Our main complaint is with the camera experience. The camera interface wasn't that snappy, and the automatic photo processing can be inconsistent, ranging from natural to the occasional gritty and over-contrasty. If that doesn't worry you, then the Edge 50 Neo is one of the only compact phones in its price segment, not to mention with a 3x zoom camera. So if you're looking for something with this form factor and price, it's worth checking out. Thanks for watching guys. If you're looking for alternatives to the Edge 50 Neo, you can check out our reviews of the Samsung Galaxy A55 and the OnePlus Nord 4. Let us know what you think, and I'll see you on the next one.